Alright, hey guys, today is your test day on Monday, April 27th for geometry. So what I'm going to do is just basically go over a few different things with you and get you set for the test, and then kind of wish y'all luck and have y'all go with it. So the first thing to kind of notice is that the first few are just basically matching, and so if you don't recall, use your book. Don't just guess when you have the book available to go and clean things up for you. One thing I do want to go ahead and cover is just a few things with the ratios. So remember, once you set up a ratio, I'll actually start with number 2, then come back to number 1. What you're going to do for number 2 here on the board, I just made one up, is they're going to say these are similar triangles, and so you're solving for a variable. And so what we're going to do is basically you're going to look for the part they have in common, and then you're going to set up your ratios based on that. So for this one, if the top one is the 4, and then this is the x, what matters here is consistency. You have to make sure you go the right way consistently. So if you start with like this top one, you have to go top to bottom the whole way through. If you start with the bottom one, you have to go from the bottom to the top the whole way through. So whatever you're looking at, you just have to be consistent that what you do with one triangle, when you put it on top over the other one, then you do that same triangle over the bottom over the one with the other one. And so you just have to be careful with that, because if you mess that up, you may do the actual math right, but you're going to get the wrong answer. And so, so for this one, I'm going to put, I can do it either way. I'm just going to put the 4 over the x. So I'll do 4 over x. And then that's going to equal, since they're similar, it will equal the 8 over the 16. That's a 16, so it will equal 8 over 16. So notice again, I did the 4 over the x, and then the 8 over the 16. You have to be consistent. Once you get to that stage, once you have the actual proportion set up, you're just going to cross multiply and then solve for the variable. And so for this one, I would do 8 times x, which is 8x. I would do 4 times 16, which is 64. And so I have 8x equals 64. Then I would divide by 8, and I would wind up with x equaling 8. So 8 would be my answer. Okay. Number 1 up here is going to be a geometric mean problem. Remember, there's some that the ratios are going to wind up being the geometric mean. When that occurs, you're basically going to solve for an x squared, usually, because the x is going to be basically on the top. You're basically going to be using that middle twice. And so you're going to end up with 6 over x equals x over 3 for this one. So I'm going to cross multiply. X times x is x squared. 6 times 3 is 18. And so I have x squared equals 18. To solve that, you're just going to square root both sides. And you're going to get x equals the square root of 18. You would try to simplify the radical, which would mean you would do factors of 18 or 9 and 2. I can take the square root of 9, or you can do the break it all the way down to all primes and then pull out the pairs. But basically that would reduce to 3 square root of 2. And so x would equal 3 square root of 2. I'm okay with this step. If you can get it all the way to simplify, do that, because you know how to do that. But if you get it down to square root of 18, I'd probably give you credit. So don't stress too much about that aspect of it. But technically, you would want to break it down all the way. So that would be some where you have to set up the proportions. So again, most of the tests, the theorems, once you kind of understand what you're doing, are very intuitive. The whole point is to set up similar ratios. And so if you don't even have to understand the theorem in and out, as long as you understand how to get the similar ratios, then you can pretty much do it by intuition. And so you should be able to look at most of these, even if you don't understand exactly what theorem you're using based on the book theorem number, you should be able to intuitively know how to set up the ratio if you understand how to set up the similar parts. Okay? So that should take you through most of the tests. Just to kind of overview it really quick. Again, 1 through 6 was just matching. 7, 8, 9 are all solving for the variable. 10, you have to set up the ratio and then solve. So you should be able to do that. That one you're going to use one of the theorems. Make sure you remember how to do the theorem. That's where the chords intersect on the inside of the circle. Number 11 through 14, it looks like, 11 through 15, deals with similar triangles. And so remember, we have a few different types. We have side, side, side. All the sides have to be in proportion to each other. We have side, angle, side, where the angle included has to be the same, matching each triangle, and the two sides have to be in proportion to each other. And then we have angle, angle, where there are two angles in the triangle are congruent that match. Then it would be your angle, angle. And then if the ratios of the sides don't match in proportion ratios, obviously that would be not similar, and so you can kind of pick your way through that. 16 through 20 deals with the scale factor, and angles are congruent. The big thing there is to remember that when you're setting up congruent similar triangles, you name it based on their similarities. So if ABC, was similar to DEF, then that means angle A was similar to angle E, and so forth and so on. Or D, and then B was with E, and then C was with F. And so it actually goes through the process. So you have A, B, C, D, E, F, and so similar to the tilde, and so the A and D would be the same angle that match, the B and the E would be the same angle that match, and then the C and the F would be the same angle that match, and then A and B would be in proportion to D and E, B and C would be in proportion to E and F, and then A and C would be in proportion to D and F. And so that will help you a little bit with that. Remember, the scale factor is just basically set up the ratio and reduce, and that will tell you basically the scale factor. Should be okay there, I think. 21 and 22, again, you're just finding it based on finding x based on the proportion. 23, 24, and 25, the same way. Again, if you don't recall the theorems exactly, you should be able to use intuition just based off making sure you have consistent ratios set up to work your way through those. This is important, so here I'm going to tell you which ones not to do. I'm going to tell you not to do 26 through 29. I'll knock those off for you. So 26 through 29, you do not have to do, and then you do not have to do the proof on the back. I won't make you do the proof. You can try the proof for extra credit. You get extra credit on that. I can give you 5 points if you get the proof right. But you don't have to do the proof as far as the actual test. But then that'll be it. And so that should get y'all started. And so I hope y'all have a good day. Hope y'all do well on the test. Remember, you have your book. Use that as a source. So don't just like guess when you can go back and actually look at the theorem and work it through. Do your best. Do well. Hope y'all have a good day.